Welcome back to Wandlebury Country Park. Today we're going to have a look at some of the trees that grow around our Iron Age ring ditch and discuss some methods that you might like to use to identify them. Lots of people will, when they're interested in knowing what a tree is, look for the leaf and the bark. There's quite a few other ways of identifying trees as well. You can look for the seeds or the fruits. You can look for clues as to where the tree is growing. Is it by water? Could it be a willow or a poplar? Or is it in a drier environment? Could it be lime? Could it be beech? Or indeed, could it be growing on deeper soils, clay soils, something like an oak? First tree that I'd like to point out is the lime, the Tilia species, which we have here. This is actually Britain's tallest tree. It can grow up to 45 metres. As you can see, the growth is very tall and straight, and one of the features of lime is that it has twigs that grow all the way from the top down to the bottom of the trunk, unlike other trees where the twigs only grow from the branches. And this feature is called epicormic growth. If we have a closer look at the leaves of lime, you can see that they've got a characteristic heart shape to them. And one other thing to notice is that the twigs tend to be dark on the top and lighter underneath, almost as if the sun is giving them a suntan. The name lime has nothing to do with the citrus fruit tree of the same name. It's a corruption of the German linden for the lime tree. And these trees are planted extensively in parks and cities throughout the UK. They can be a little bit annoying to residents because in the summer the aphids suck on the leaves and the honeydew falls onto people's cars and pavements. Also, the epicormic growth I mentioned earlier tends to require the tree to have a regular haircut at the base so they don't fill the paths and the streets up with twigs coming from the base. The next Wandlebury tree we're going to have a look at is beech. Now, beech is the dominant species on the chalk hills of southern Britain, and the form is very much broader than the lime, as you can see. The trunk is a very pale grey colour and not very fissured at all. Beech leaves are oval, slightly wavy at the edges and very soft and shiny. A lot of people get beech confused with hornbeam, but if you look at a hornbeam tree, the leaves look similar, but they're rougher and they've got serrated edges to them. The beech fruit, which is visible at this time of year, or the nut, is called beech mast. And one of the things about beech mast is it does tend to go in cycles, so every 3 to 5 years there'll be a really big crop of beech mast, and then not much the following year. And this is thought to be a defence mechanism against animals that would eat all the seeds if it was the same every year. The next tree we're going to have a look at is English elm. Now, this tree used to be a large characteristic tree of hedgerows in England until the 1970s, when they were destroyed by Dutch elm disease. However, the trees still live on as suckers, small trees that grow out from hedgerows and the edge of woodlands where the large trees used to be. One of the ways of telling whether it's an elm is to have a look at the leaf. Most elms have an asymmetric base to the leaf, so one side of the leaf base is higher than the other side. The leaves are also very rough and have a serrated edge to them. Another characteristic of elm trees is this sort of corking that you get, or crocodile back effect, on the lower bark mainly, and this is thought to concentrate tannins and other chemicals that animals and insects find distasteful, so it's a way that the tree defends itself from being grazed or eaten. And one interesting fact about English elm as opposed to wych elm is that it's probably not native to the UK, but was brought here during the Iron Age by the Iron Age settlers, who valued it as a fodder crop for their animals. The other large tree that you can see around the edge of the ring is Sycamore. This has a very commanding shape to it, massive branches, and the leaves are the traditional palmate sycamore shape that we all know so well. The fruits are the small helicopters that children play with. And the sycamore has only been here a couple of hundred years. It's not a native tree to the United Kingdom, and it is very, very tolerant of harsh growing conditions, winds, and is used as a shelter break for farmhouses and in forestry for that hardiness.